Welcome back to the Real Estate Den, episode 15. This week we have Hannah out of Wisconsin and David out of South Texas, bringing some awesome stories of the last that their real estate businesses and kind of what they've been experiencing. So we'll just go ahead and get right into this. David, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent in San Antonio, Texas, and the surrounding areas, which is actually really big. A lot of people don't know San Antonio in terms of ground area is the seventh largest city in the United States, and so the city limits expand quite a ways out from the center. And in Texas, as the city expands, the municipalities around it can either vote to be annexed or vote to be their own municipalities. And so there's actually about, I don't know, 10 or 12 cities inside San Antonio that have their own city hall, police force, and stuff. And so it's a very interesting dynamic there. But I work all the way out into the base of the hill country, Bernie, Texas, and over to New Braunfels, which is on the I-35 corridor heading towards Austin. So I've been in real estate for about 5 years, retired after 32 years in uniform in the United States Army, where I retired as a colonel, and decided to, after looking at a bunch of different career options, decided I didn't want to work for the man. I want to work for the men and women that need real estate services, and so that's what I do. I have lots of bosses instead of just one.
you got more, but I like it. Is there anything that you can think of just quick off the top of your head? And we can get back to this later if we need to, because it might be a bigger question. But have you brought anything, like what have you brought from your previous military experience into real estate?
So yeah, this is it's a long answer. I mean, there's a very long answer to this. I'll try to keep it very short. But there's a huge industry that revolves around transitioning service members and moving on to their next the next thing. And some of it, and I could be pilloried for saying this, but some of it is sort of unnecessary in my opinion. I think what's really the most important when it comes to transitioning is helping people decide how they want to live and understand where their best traits lie and how they can leverage those. So for me, after kind of very quickly going through a whole gamut of industries that I could join, I realized the most important thing for me in my lifestyle was a level of autonomy and a lack of a ceiling put sort of on my earning potential, which as soon as you take that first job when you're out of the military, whatever you walk into, you're forever fighting against that level. Like you're always pushing up. And of course, I'm in a room with 3 women. I don't have to talk about ceilings. I understand that for me, it's it seems like a silly thing to even talk about, but when you set a limit on where your earnings potential is by taking a job that you may not even like, and then all of a sudden now every time you apply for a new job or whatever, so I decided I wasn't going to look for a job, look for something completely different, a lifestyle, leveraging my network for one, which all of us in real estate know that your network equals your net worth. Some people say, or at least your net potential, I would say. And then the discipline, work ethic, organization skills, and leadership that all come from my military service and my military background. Not exclusive to military folks, but that's the kind of stuff that was important in my career.
Great. I like, thank you. First of all, thank you for your service. And I like just vets in general, but like vets in real estate do tend to have you just have this different, I do like the organization. Like, it's just nice I haven't had a bad experience with a veteran real estate agent, I guess. It's just always been.
That's good to know. That's really good.
So Hannah, you've been also doing this for 5 years. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do and your brokerage and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I have I'm not even 30 yet, and I've already had a little complicated adult career history. I bounced around a lot when I first went to college, I was gonna be a lawyer. Realized I don't like reading and writing very much. Really good at talking, but didn't like the reading and writing. I ended up a few years down the line, I didn't finish my 4-year, ended up going to a 2-year just for my business management. I love numbers and I love finance. So I was like, well, I'm going to do lending of some sort. Like I want to do that. That's what I wanted to get into. So after a short stint in car sales for a couple of years and being a finance manager there, then I went into ad sales for a local newspaper. And then I went into lending finally. And overall, I loved doing what I was doing. I just didn't like the boss and the company. So in 2019, our realtor who sold us our house in 2016 we reached out to him to go look at some land, and the land didn't work out, but he's like, you know what though, I've been keeping an eye on you and I'd love for you to join our firm as a realtor. And prior to this, years before that, I had actually looked at being a realtor already. And when I talked to them then, they were like, not the firm I'm with particularly, but a different one. They were like, well, we want you to be full-time and full-time only. And I'm like, I'm 21 with college debt. Like I can't just live off of commission. So I didn't go for it then. And I had told him like, well, I can't be full-time. I could do it part-time if that's something you're okay with. And he said, yep, that's no problem. We'll support you part-time while you're building things. And, hopefully you'll go full-time. And I talked to my husband about it. And he's like, well, you're good at sales and you had thought about this a while ago. So why not take the leap and, try it out? I'm like, yeah, you're right. If anything, I can sell a couple houses a year and it pays for my travel addictions. So that's what it started out as. I got my initial license the end of August of 2019. I was officially licensed in September of 19. I sold my very first house in October of 19.
Wow.
So I jumped in. That first last quarter of 19, I sold 2 houses. And then my first full year being part-time. So I'm working 40 hours a week. I had also already had another little part-time job somewhere else. And then I was doing real estate. My very first year in real estate, I made more gross in real estate than I did at my full-time job. And I was like, God, this is great. Like, I could totally do this. But I had that voice in the back of my head saying, but what if you fail? So I stayed at the job I hated for another 2 years.
Oh my
And in March of 21, so actually yesterday, so today is March 5th, the day that we're recording it, on March 4th of 22, I just essentially got ticked off enough at my job. And I said, my last day is March 31st. I'm going on full-time real estate. And I only had a little bit of my savings then. I'm like, you know what? This is fine. It'll work. And I've never looked back since. I am full-time. I got my broker license I passed it December of 23. So I'm still with the same firm. Absolutely love my firm. We're a little firm in rural Southwest Wisconsin, and they're amazing. Great support. I can't imagine leaving them. My broker and I have talked about me someday buying the firm, so don't plan on leaving them. Love what I do, and I actually helped hire my first team member recently as well, and she's already heading out and doing great too. So lots of background for me. Clearly I'm a sales woman at heart. But not even the sales, like David had said, the earning potential of it, if you can put in what you can get out of it, and it's been great. I do make good money. Wasn't great at saving it. So if you're a newer realtor listening to this, don't do what I did. Save your paycheck. Don't spend it all.
Yes.
Oh my God, I was so bad at that.
Yes.
But yeah, so like I said, absolutely love it. I do a few other things too. I am an entrepreneur by title. I have a few things on my plate. But real estate is my number one love currently.
Like it. And you also have a couple podcasts, so tell us about those for a second. So maybe our listeners want to go over there and listen to yours.
Yeah, my first podcast that I had started is called What the Finance. Haven't done anything with it in a while. But that is essentially about the building blocks of credit, or maybe you've really screwed up your credit and you want to fix it. I kind of just give the basics of it to help you figure out either how to get out of debt or build your credit. So you can get debt, because unfortunately we're in America, unless you make 7 figures, you're going to have debt. So there's that one. And then the other one I started is called Confessions of an Entrepreneur. That one is where I interview other entrepreneurs from all different types of businesses. And essentially we talk about like how they got into it, their struggles with it, what works and doesn't work for them, just to help normalize what entrepreneurs actually go through. Because as an entrepreneur, you probably follow other people who own businesses online, and all you can see is, oh my God, they have that many customers, they're making that much money. Well, you're not seeing them crying on the floor earlier before they posted that because they royally messed up on something. So I just try to help normalize the discussion and what other entrepreneurs go through, so that way if there's somebody else who's going through something, they know that they're not alone in that. So that's my other podcast.
Love it. I can't wait to check those out. David, tell us a little bit how you went from being, because I assume you can't really start as a team leader, in this business. So tell us how you went from going into being a brand new agent into leading your team. And you said you have how many agents?
There's 7 of us.
Nice.
So I have one of them. She's an agent, but she's really my full-time admin. She's the only salaried member of the team. And then I just brought on my newest agent. I've been married to for 20 years, and so she just got her license and came on. And she's actually really full-time marketing for us and client, like what I don't do very well, which is post closing client care. So she's going to be taking on that role as well, and then our web presence and stuff that I'm constantly out of pocket, doing the things that we do that create business. And so having Carolyn sort of supporting me is huge. And then I've got a commercial agent, and I've got another 3 agents beyond that are working, different aspects of the business with me. But going back to how I started, so once I decided, I kind of went down, coming out of the Army, looked at 5 different potential career paths, eliminated them one by one for different reasons, came down to my last couple of months in the Army, and I decided, based on my experience buying and selling houses in over several years, moving from one duty station to another, I always felt like, with the exception of a couple of agents that I worked with, that I would have done things a little bit differently. Probably how most people feel about real estate agents, right? Until they get into the business and understand. But I had some really, really good ones that did things that I thought were great, and I keep in touch with them consistently. So with that in mind, I said, okay, maybe this real estate thing is something I'll try. Also, within my network, I'm a West Point graduate, and within my network, there's a ton of real estate investors, real estate agents, bankers, mortgage lenders, and stuff. And so I've always been kind of part of that infrastructure as well. But I also wanted to do something with I've got a couple of master's degrees in leadership kind of stuff. And so I thought maybe I would do some leadership consulting. So I started a leadership consulting company at the same time as I got my real estate license. Took on a couple of real estate consulting contracts. Really disliked that work. It was probably too much like what I did as a staff officer in the Army. I enjoyed leadership, but not necessarily leadership consulting. So I started and sunsetted that business as I was working my sphere on the real estate side. Really started going. I got licensed in April of 19. I didn't really start working full time until July, because after I retired, I took about 45 days to drive across the country with my family and stuff. So anyway, July, similar to Hannah, had my first closing in October, and my sales manager pulled me in and said, "You need to hire your own transaction coordinator." And I said, "We have an agent support coordinator in the office." She said, "Yeah, but I've never seen anybody start like this." At that time, I had 4 in escrow. I closed my first one, I had 4 in escrow, and I said, "I've never seen anybody start like this, and anybody I've seen start fast has never slowed down. And so if you get ahead of it now, you'll be in." And so here I am, absolute beginner. I've literally closed 1 deal. And so I'm reaching out to these different other agents that are, who are maybe been in the business for a year or two, but not really doing a lot of business. And look, I need help. I'll give you a percentage of my commission if you'll take on doing the TC stuff and just kind of, some coaching roles and stuff. Burned through 3 people that just couldn't, because I was in something about me that's different than most Army officers and career military folks is I'm very disorganized, especially when it comes to paperwork. So I have to have somebody that does that for me. My calendar's a mess, as you saw last week, and so I need somebody to manage me. I can manage my emotions and all that kind of stuff, but like I'm kind of a chaotic mess at times. So anyway, I finally, I don't want to make this too long, but I finally I had my first failed client, Danielle Anacito, who's an incredible woman, married to an Army Ranger, Purple Heart recipient, Brian. And I say they're my first failed client because they were experienced investors, owned a house in Savannah, a duplex in Savannah, Georgia, PCS, which is permanent change of station, military jargon, to San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston. I tried to help them find something that met their investment criteria. They we couldn't find them, something that penciled correctly. So they wound up moving on base. And then within a couple of months around this time that I was searching for a full-time assistant, Danielle reached out to me and said, "Hey, we really love working with you. I'm really interested in getting into real estate. But I can't, she had 2 kids at the time and she was pregnant. I don't have the ability to be a full-time agent. Do you know of any work?" And I said, "Look, I think you could make pretty good money as my full-time transaction coordinator. And if you get your license, I can have you involved in other conversations." And so she went over 6 weeks, knocked out her license in a combination of hybrid and in-person courses. And so Danielle was my full-time licensed assistant for my first full year in real estate. Which was so January through December of 20. Together we closed 22 transactions, and then in 2021, 36 transactions, and made the top 10 in San Antonio for real estate agents with an average transaction cost of less than $500,000. So the way the San Antonio Business Journal kind of parses everybody out, my brokerage is mostly on the right side of this, which is not correct, but like, if you look at it left and right.
I was like, mine too. My brokerage is always on the right side. We're just like.
So the directional right side being luxury, which is if you have an average transaction volume, your average transaction is 500,000 or more, puts you in the category of luxury agents. Because I mostly focus on the military community, mine is on the left side of that. And so the San Antonio Business Journal has 2 lists, agents who are who average transaction less than 500. So I made the top 10 on that list, probably 10,000 agents or so, my second year. But I realized, and I'm taking up too much time, but I realized that after you get to a certain level of number of transactions going at any given time, you can't give the best service. Like, it's just I'm pulled thin today because I've got a couple of different listing appointments, and I've got my buyer's agent is with a builder today because they screwed up some plumbing, and like there's just a bunch of stuff going on. So when I was trying to do that all by myself, I knew it was kind of a disaster, and I felt bad sometimes that I couldn't give the best service. So that's when I decided to start a team.
Nice.
So started my team in 22. We ramped it up pretty good. We hit 43, I think, buy and sell transactions. At that time, I'd brought on an agent in Austin because I thought I was going to expand into Austin. She was with me for about 6 months. And the average transaction price up there is so much bigger. So we wound up with 32 million in sales. And that was in 22. Yeah. We just finished 23. We're very good friends. Anthea is also a West Point grad, and she's phenomenal. But I knew I couldn't support her in Austin the way she needed it. And my office up there at the time, just wasn't working for her. So she moved to another brokerage. So I lost that Austin, and I decided it was too early for me. I'm not experienced enough yet to try to manage somebody that far away and help them, be the support they need. So this year we've retracted a little bit. We're 27.9 million in sales in 23.
Nice.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Now in 23 we had a total of 4. So I'm really bringing I'm starting my kind of to expand the growth of the team. I think I want to try to get to 10 agents by the end of the year. So anyway.
Great.
So
So both of you had really, really quick beginnings, which in your real estate career, which is not very common for a lot of agents. I think a lot of agents probably heard both of your stories and they're probably like, oh my goodness, like how? So I wanted to ask, we'll start with Hannah and go back up to David. Where did your first client come from and what were you doing to get all these clients?
My first client was actually a person I knew from high school. As I was getting my license, I was posting on social media, I'm going to be a realtor soon. I'm going to be a realtor soon. Like I'm getting my license, like I was keeping it updated. So that's where my very first client came from. And lo and behold, it was a FSBO as well. So, let's just make it one of the worst things ever.
Your friend from high school was selling FSBO and then called you?
No, she was buying FSBO.
Oh yeah, that is worse. Oof.
Yeah. Not selling. It was the buying part, but it all worked out. It was a very good learning experience. I am very lucky though. My brokerage pays for all of my leads. So he pays for all my Zillow and my realtor leads. So that is where majority of my first year that my sales came from were leads. Although there were a few like friends that sorry.
Online leads specifically?
Yeah, yep, Zillow and Realtor. Yeah, that's where majority of them came from. Now we live in a very small and rural area. Like my town has 3,000 people in it and like 8 realtors. So, and a lot of the realtors in the area are the ones who have been doing it longer than I've been alive. So I've definitely had to go out and find my business as well. And another way that I've done that is by being involved in my community. I'm on the Humane Society board for the local county. I just go out and do stuff. I join things. I put myself out there. I'm a huge coffee lover. So my brokerage again is amazing. They pay for all my marketing. So I also do local coffee chat days where I will do like $2 off a coffee or something along those lines at my local coffee place. And I'll just set up and have material there. And if people want to talk, they do. If they don't want to, they don't have to. I have little things that they can grab there. You can spin the wheel for a gift card, along those lines. And I actually have gotten 2 buyers from that as well. So just putting yourself out there.
Like just,
yeah.
And that's like fun,
Such a good idea. I love that.
I love it. And like I said, our area is small. So I've done it through 2 towns locally. And then I also always have like a mortgage person there with me too. So that way, if they have mortgage questions, then the mortgage person is there as well. And it's went out great. I've never had anybody be mad that I was there or that I was paying for their coffee or anything. So one thing that we really focus on is being a part of the community and showing that, hey, I'm here for you if you need it. If you don't, then totally understand. If you catch your realtor that you know and that you trust, awesome. Still feel free to take some free stuff from my table. Like that is totally fine. Because also too, you never know. Some of these realtors are getting a little older. You never know when they're going to be able to retire. So
I thought you were going to say something darker for a second.
No, retire. No, I try not to be a dark person. But also that also is with it too. I have had a couple of realtors who have had to retire or they decided to switch. They've sent their clients to me. And that is something that I really want to put out here. And maybe David, you'll agree with me, is there is so many realtors who are just plain rude to other realtors and they act
100%.
like this is dog eat dog. That's not helping you. So be kind to other realtors because you never know when maybe another realtor is getting out of the business or maybe they don't have a team like David does. They don't have somebody who they can refer somebody to on their own team. They need to refer it out to a whole different brokerage. You want to be that person. Be nice to other people.
Yeah, that is really a great point.
Very.
We call it collaboration.
Yeah.
So really more collaborate than competition. And and everybody in a transaction is actually trying to do exactly the same thing. So if you make it out to be opposing sides, you may actually wind up killing the deal because just because you looked at it wrong, as opposed to trying to make it happen.
Oh yeah, we every realtor right now is just like, oh yeah, we all had that one deal pop into our head that we thought about.
Right.
Yep.
David, where did your first client come from, and what are some fun, good, like great ways that you were getting and lucrative ways that you were getting deals? Because they were, you were starting, you were stressing your TC out. You had to hire your own. Your brokerage is like,
Right.
you're on your own, bud.
So San Antonio has trademarked the moniker Military City, USA. And so if you've got, and there's a ton of, and so that has happened because we've got two of the most important Air Force bases and then one really important Army base here. And so I think about, I don't know, 50% of the economy maybe revolves around the military bases here. And because of that, a ton of military retirees live here as well, and there's a lot of benefits in Texas to military retirees, and so a lot of folks, even if they never were in Texas, they come to Texas when they retire. So it just the situation, and it's a huge city, right? That all of those things came together to fertile market, huge military network, and just a network in kind of in deep in the most important demographic in the city, really. So, when it comes to economic demographics. So all of my deals from the very beginning, or at least in the very beginning, came from exactly what Hannah did, which is going out on social media. For a 50-plus-year-old guy, it's been a lot of fun, actually. The military too, especially when you're an officer in the military, you have to be very muted on social media, and so I immediately, as soon as I retired, I started just kind of being able to be myself a little bit more, and so I started doing a lot. I needed a hashtag and it needed something of my own, so I started to wear a bow tie on closing day, and I used the hashtag I only close in bows. And then that kind of became its own little thing. Now it's my branding. So if you go to my website, realestateties.com, and the ties stands for trust, integrity, expertise, and service. So I've kind of tied all of, pun intended, all of that together with where I originally started branding. So, but really at the base of it all was, just not being a secret agent, going out and telling people, hey, I'm in real estate now, and not having been too much of a jerk for the previous 30 years. I'm sure there were plenty of times where I was, but on balance, I think more people than not thought I was a decent human being, and so that helps too. Like, what Hannah said, I can't overemphasize. Like, being a good human being is a huge part of not just where a lot of your business will come from, but also trying. It's a huge part of reshaping the conversation around real estate agents. I had a house here in my neighborhood. I'd sold a couple of houses in my little neighborhood here, and I had a guy reach out to me and go, thinking about selling this house on my own, but I saw what you do, and so I'd like to give you a chance. So I went over and I gave him a price that was about $75,000 more than he was going to list it for, and it was just based on knowing the details of the market and his particular lots and things he didn't understand. And then we sold his house, and he told me afterwards, he said, I had the worst opinion of real estate agents before we met. And so it was very gratifying to me. And a lot of that was just not being over the top and not, and being more substance than sound.
Absolutely. I love that. So both of you, once again, the best way to get started in your real estate business is to talk to people who already know, like, and trust you. And then just change the narrative to what you are, as long as they know that you are in real estate. And like I said, as long as they know, like, and trust you, most of them will want to use you. are you going to have some friends? Sure. I have some friends that, and they were very, even in the beginning of my career, when I was in school, they told me, they're like, I have my realtor, like, like they're,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
but that's, that's okay. That's not all of them. And yeah, I love that the utilizing the social media and just like how accessible it is to just get, in front of people and use that and to sort of keep people engaged. It was probably sort of a shift for you too, David, to go from because like you said, the military, I don't think recommends you put your life out there.
Right.
As a I'm
Yeah.
not a military person, but that's just my assumption of
I know you're right. You're
my
absolutely
observations. So to go
right.
from that into social media, how was that for you? Was there a curve there?
So I don't know if you'll get the reference. It's a historical reference, but it's kind of obscure. But I took what I call a burn your ships approach to real estate. So to starting my real estate career. When I left the service, I had an active top secret compartmentalized information clearance, and I decided that like it might have been a bad decision, but I never care to leverage that again in my life. So because what comes with it is all of the other bureaucracy, and so a lot of people advise you keep your your clearance current, and that way you can get a defense contracting job if you want or whatever. And I just decided I was going to kind of divest myself of all of those things that came with being a retired Army guy, and focus on real estate. And so, yeah, so it was definitely a change. I really enjoyed it. And, I just enjoyed just kind of being able to be me. I dabbled with real estate infomercial program called American Dream TV Network. I was a host for a couple of episodes, which is actually a blast. It was a lot of fun, but I was paying them a monthly fee for the privilege of writing, directing, coordinating, and starring in a show. And so I was basically paying them for about a 3-day a month job that, it was fun, but it wasn't that much fun. So I decided not to do that anymore. But yeah. So anyway.
Awesome. Hannah, what do you have anything new and exciting that's coming up that you want your people listening to know about, or do you have anything new in store for this year now that because you're recently full-time? Like you're interesting because you've been doing this for so long, which is you're nuts, honestly, if I can just be frank with you.
Oh, I am.
Who can like, holy shit, who could work a whole job and like work in real estate for like years? Like that's just like mind-boggling to me. So you have a tremendous energy, and I really commend you for that. So what's next now that you have like literally 90 hours a week of energy, like soaked into this? Like,
Oh, you don't even know the half of it, Megan. So first of all, doing a full-time job and starting real estate part-time, the trick to that is making sure that you have a team that is willing to help you out. When I was working full-time, if I had an inspection at 2:00, I can't go to that in the middle of the day. My broker went to it and he took nothing extra from me. So that was super helpful. I had a team, the people who were in the firm, they were there to help support me and help me build. And now I'm able to return the favor to them. They knew and they trusted that I was going to eventually be full-time. And if they helped me build and grow while I was working towards it, then I'd be able to return the favor to them, which I do. Other than that, for this year, real estate, with me now signing on my first team member, who I'm their broker, just helping them grow and helping them really flourish the way that I know that she can. On the side of that, like I said, real estate full-time, you said I was crazy. I sure am. I also am a co-founder of a entrepreneur business coaching thing as well, called Lead Collective. So we're working on building that as well. My husband and I own an Airbnb, and I do still work 2 very part-time jobs because when things are slow in real estate, I get bored and I don't like to just sit around. So I do that as well. So yeah, I do a good amount. This year I'm really just trying to focus on, I set a goal for myself. David, nowhere near yours. In our area, the average price of a home was like $150,000. So the 24 million, amazing for you. My goal this year is million. I did 3.8 million last year, and I started to dip into commercial real estate as well last year. So working on building my portfolio that way. And I would love to get into like our luxury listings. Luxury for us is anything over 400,000 in our area.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a different market from David.
Sure.
But yeah, just focusing on building that and putting my name out there more in the community as a trusted realtor. And changing as David said, changing the way people think about realtors, because there's a lot right now out there, social media and the news, that is really just trying to drag us down and say that we're not needed. So just trying to change that as well.
I think the problem I think with that is the bad ones are very vocal about how bad they are.
Yep.
And the good ones just quietly go on about their business, doing things right, and it's like anything else. I mean, you don't necessarily, you don't make the news for being a good person most of the time. So, but it's right.
Luckily, I'm not quiet. So when I get good stuff, I make sure that's noted. Like you, David. So I had a listing. I listed it for an estate, and somebody's parents wanted to buy it. Well, older farmers here, so they're like, I'm just gonna sell everything by myself and don't need a realtor. Well, since it was listed with a realtor, they reached out to me as the listing agent to help them buy it. And by the end, I said, hey, I know you guys have your farm figured out. You already have buyers figured out. If for any reason you guys do need help or have any questions, feel free. I'll be happy to help you guys out. And they all said that they all had, realtors aren't really needed, that it's not something that they wanted to deal with. But I had changed their mind about realtors just by doing that one little thing for them. And it was in a realtor space, it was an easy deal. It was cash, it was a quick close, but there were things that they didn't even know needed to be done. They didn't understand the paperwork. So I was there to help guide them through, and they changed. I helped have the more of a positive light on realtors.
It's amazing.
Which is great and so needed. And I think it's just the low barrier to entry. And I think if you want to be a slime ball sleaze person, it's just easy in real estate, right? Like, at least in Colorado, like the maximum punishment, the maximum fine they can give you is $2,500. If you're doing shady business,
that's it.
Yeah. And our price point is like $700,000 for an average price point. So like at the end of the day, if you want to be a piece of crap and screw people over and you're making $15,000 checks a few times a month, what's a few fines?
Yeah.
So
we have 6-figure penalties in Wisconsin.
Wow. And I don't, yeah.
Like that's for like the really bad stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like they start at
like I'm sure
$5,000 to $10,000.
But that's from the commission. The Wisconsin Commission will make you, like, their commission, your real estate commission. The government will give those to realtors, or like if you get sued, because of course if you get sued,
Like
you can't do anything.
So like if you are found unethical, like the Board of Ethics finds anything against you, you will get a fine and you have to pay it. And if you get so many, then they'll revoke your license and you won't be able to practice anywhere between 2 to 5 years or indefinitely.
And those fines can be up to 6 figures.
Yeah.
Dang.
Like that's extreme. I think it's only maybe happened a couple of times, but like they start a couple thousand average. I think the average fee is around $3,000 to $5,000. And we don't get those commissions that you get in Colorado. So it's a lot for us.
150,000. Yeah, no, it's yeah. So I think that and like I said, states are totally different. I'm not quite sure. I am 6th generation Colorado, so I do like Colorado. So if you're like listening and you're like with Dora or whatever, like, we're cool guys. I like you. Like, it's fine. I'm not mad. Yeah, but just to focus on like the good of the industry, because there is a lot of that good. And I really appreciate you guys.
Two of my favorite and really my guiding guidepost books on how to be a good real estate salesperson came out of Colorado.
Yeah.
One is called Sell with Soul. And she's a Colorado broker. I think she's still active, but it's about, it's all the stuff we're talking about, how to be a good human being and still get the ball across the finish line. And then, or the ball across the finish line, maybe how to kick the basketball goal or something. I don't know, mixed metaphors. And then and then the other one is Ninja Selling. If you haven't read it, it's fantastic too.
I didn't know Ninja Selling was out of Colorado.
I
didn't
thought
either. I've
Larry
heard of it.
Kendall was from Colorado. Maybe I got that mistaken, but I thought he was a Colorado agent. Could have that wrong.
I mean, he
Maybe.
might be. I don't know everything about Colorado. Like, I don't. For sure. I believe you. It seems like
Yeah, I think it is. If I'm wrong, then it won't be the first time for sure.
right. Exactly. That's the beauty about being an agent, right? I was saying that on one of our team meetings this week. I was like, we are the ones who aren't supposed to know. Like, just don't know anything. You don't know.
Right.
You get them to a professional. You do your contract knowledge. You do your negotiation, right? But like, hey, what do you think about that crack? I don't know. Get a crack guy to look at it. Like, not my thing.
I got a crack guy.
So my
That's right.
final and favorite question is, because I am a big proponent of morning routines, but it's okay if you were not. But I always like to ask everyone who's on the show, what does your morning look like? And if you have any specific rituals that you do. I mean, obviously everybody does, like you wake up, you get food, you get coffee at some point. So just tell us about your mornings and then tell us where our listeners can find you. And we will have everything linked in the show notes for people to come connect with you.
Hannah, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Sure, yeah. So with how stressful and how full my life is, I don't have a morning where I'm like, I'm gonna read a book and I'm gonna work out. My mornings are, for me, coffee, the couch, and my dog. That is my morning. If my husband is home, he'll join us. But it's about relaxation. I try not to check social media. I try not to check my email. Like, that is my time to get my brain calm for the day. So that is my morning. I don't, if you have a high stress life, I mean, this is just my philosophy. So if whatever you're doing works for you, you work for you. But I just need that time to take to bring my cortisol levels down and my stress levels down and be in the moment and just appreciate what I have. So I'm chill. I like to spend an hour or two on the couch and just be with myself, my husband if he's there, and my dog.
Nice. I like that. And I think your morning routine should calm your nervous system. Like, please don't do a morning routine that doesn't. Like, oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
you're doing it wrong. Like,
I tried doing my workout in the morning and honestly, I just got really anxious. So my workout now is either 10 a.m. is like in the afternoon or at night if my gym buddy can go with me. So I'm a person, I like my morning up until like 9, 10 a.m. If I have stuff scheduled, then I'll go do that. But other than that, up until like 9 or 10, I work maybe like between that 9 to 7 p.m. So I'm more of a day evening person. That's when I'm at my best, not in the morning.
yeah,
So that's what works for me.
I love it. Dog snuggles and coffee. It's on the couch. I mean, it's a great morning. David,
It
what
is
Perfect.
like
It is. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and there's I think what I have for my morning routine comes from what was beat into me for 30 years in the military, which was, by 6 o'clock you're out on the parade field doing physical training, and that's an hour and a half, and then and then you're in uniform and ready to work a couple hours, or by 9, and then as you become more senior in the military, you have more responsibilities, and so you start working earlier. And so and you also never really get rid of the stress, which I probably wish I could, but it eats me up sometimes. But there's a couple of things I do to deal with it. But yeah, I'm up super early. A lot of it depends. I'm not a great sleeper, so sometimes I'll be up in the middle of the night and read for a little while before I go back to sleep. In which case, on days like that, I get around 6. But on a normal day, I'm up at 4. I'm reading first thing. I'm usually working through 2 books at a time: a business or self-help book, and then a novel. And then I try to get out the door for a run or a workout by like 6:30-ish, just depending on what I'm doing, and then be ready to kind of hit it hard by 9. And that's a very general thing. I usually go through my notes, looking at what my hot list to call is, and my business spreadsheet to look at, what the hot things we have going on that particular day. Picking up my wardrobe if it's closing day, because I always wear a bow tie on closing day. So
Gotta pick the bow tie.
which, for an Army guy, that was never a thing before. So now I have way more clothes than I really should have for a man of a certain age, I would guess. So
I like it. So where can we find you, Hannah? What's the best website, Instagram handle, Facebook?
So Instagram is for my real estate is sold by Hannah Haas.
Okay.
And then my personal is Holler at Hannah, which feel free to connect with me on both because I share all real estate stuff on my Sold by Hannah Haas, but you'll be able to see more of my other things on Holler at Hannah. And then from there, there's a link that you can find for my Facebook as well. I have a Facebook group for my podcast. I can show you how to get to the Lead Collective if you're in Southwest Wisconsin or even Iowa and Illinois and the corners where we all meet. Then you're definitely welcome to reach out and see more there. We have events every quarter and resources for businesses and entrepreneurs on there as well. So you can find me on Instagram, you can find my link tree and get to everywhere else.
Great. David, where can we find you?
So website is realestateties.com. And my Instagram is dabrams.realtor. And from there, you can probably see just about everything you need to see about me. So.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next episode.